who's going to present tonight?
I'll start off. Kind of show everybody.
Laszlo and Carol.
Yes,
Acurso,
Laszlo, Lexi.
And Lexi.
And Lexi.
All right. Everybody ready? Let's see. How do I share screen? Ooh, let's see if I can share screen 2. All right. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to talk about this real quick. So there's 13 images in this set. It's called Voyeur 2020. And it's all about a response to how I felt about people doing front porch portraits, which was, I never felt that way this year. A lot of the front porch portraits were these like happy family sessions where the photographer was on the, the front steps. The family was on their patio or in their front driveway. And it was all these very happy, hey, we're in a pandemic, but look how privileged we still are. And it just never sat well with me. And so these are a direct response to those. And what they are is me shooting through people's back windows with permission. I mean, they knew I was going to be there. And I used the same lights throughout. So throughout this entire one, I used kind of a half CTO on one gel and then a half CTB on another. And then they all got the same color treatment, even though they were shot over the course of about a month. So that they had some tonality the same. But I would put lights in various windows and then shoot through people's back door, back porch windows, screened in porch windows. And so they all kind of have this texture to them because a lot of times I'm shooting through windows. So this couple was showing what people were actually doing during the lockdown. And so in this case, they were doing puzzles. We had another couple. This is Amy Cooper, if y'all remember Amy. She's been a judge and speaker at times. And her sewing machines over here, and then he was doing a sales report and just kind of like being together. So I tried to use some of the back windows as internal framing as well. And it was certainly a challenge to not be in the photos and then find places where I was using their house basically as a giant softbox. So if you can see over here, that orange light's coming from over here, and then we have a blue light kind of coming across. This one's actually on display until Sunday at the Downtowner Gallery in Round Rock. And this is my friend. If y'all know Brian, right? This is Brian Nixon in the back there. And that's his fiance. And they were making masks and drinking wine. And again, this is early. This is like April when these were all taken. Yeah, so that's just through their back window as well. This is my friend Kate. Her husband's on the back here on a Zoom work call, and she had just gotten done with a run. She's an Olympic marathon trials qualifier, so she's a sub 240 female marathoner. So she's getting her workout in. So I have a light. You can see it. I walked around the back of the house and put one back there, and then shot through the front window with this one. And I'm shooting through a plant in their front window. This is my friend Danielle. This was actually the day of the NFL draft. So he's watching the NFL draft, and she's playing Switch, which you'll see a lot. The Nintendo Switch this year, coincidentally, is the best-selling video game platform, and they've been really hard to find because everybody's been at home doing, what do you do? So they're playing video games. So I thought this was really funny. Their dogs are over there, just kind of lolling around. So she's playing Switch. He's watching the NFL draft, which is a pretty common. You also notice on this one, like you can kind of see that I was shooting through the window because there's reflections. I did use a polarizer, but it didn't always get everything, just depending on what angle I was shooting on. But a lot of times I had the front of the lens directly up against the window shooting through their house. And that way we were still safe. This is our friend Emily, if y'all know Emily. So this is Emily's grandmother giving Emily's, that's Jasper, getting a haircut on the front porch. I'm kind of shooting along the porch edge. We have a teenager doing some Snapchatting over here, and then another kid hanging onto a dog, and then everybody's drinking beer and getting their haircut. So I just thought that was kind of funny as well. This is my friend Jessica, and she and her boyfriend Jack here. Actually, what's crazy about the story, about a week after this, that they lost their dog. Like, he ran away. And so this is the last photos of their dog. Kind of sad, but they both work. He works kind of some weird hours, and so they're dealing with insomnia. And so this was me photographing them dealing with the insomnia and like not really being awake and not really being asleep. They're always just kind of sleepwalking through everything. And so I thought this was kind of an interesting one of just that kind of weird feeling we all had of, is it day? Is it night? What day is it? What time is it? Just that kind of vague feeling that we all have. This is my friend Kiera, obviously shot through the back porch, and she's again playing Switch in her Godzilla onesie. She makes me laugh. I don't know, because why not? And then this is my friend Lindsay, and Lindsay is teaching a Zoom ballet. So if you look up at the top here, you can see all of their the Zoom students up here. And so this is actually my flash going through this window, and then another one kind of coming through another window in their house. But that's actually my light right there. But just that kind of like, I don't know. I just love that the idea of like what we show in our front yard and what we show in our backyard are two very different things. And this kind of talks about this during the time of quarantine. The idea that like we put on a happy face to do front porch photos, but then, you know, in the back, we were either working or dealing with our own issues in the back window. This is my friend Marlise drinking wine and playing with cats. That's kind of funny. I don't know. This picture makes me laugh a lot. It just makes me giggle. Again, just playing. He was playing video games and she was watching TV. But I love using the internal frame of the window as the frame for the photo. And so that was all very intentional. My friend Noelle, she's a cybersecurity analyst. So she helps people make sure their work stays safe. And so I thought this was a very interesting one as well. Yeah, and then this was actually the first one we did. Some of y'all may know Christine St. Laurent. She's a photographer here in Pflugerville, and she was my guinea pig for this. And that's her and her husband, and they're just watching TV. And I love the way they're kind of framed against each other, and I love that you can't see her face. And it just has this like moment of uncertainty, and this whole thing is meant to be uncertain. The lighting that we did and the post processing that we created, I didn't want it to feel real. I wanted the light and I wanted everything about it to feel heightened surrealism, I guess. Kind of like my inspiration was really Gregory Crutzen, if y'all know who that is. Kind of a famous photographer out of Yale. So that was my inspiration, kind of going for that surrealism, natural surrealism. I don't know what the word is, but kind of like you're peeking into their life. They kind of know you're there, but they kind of don't. And there's a story and you kind of project your own stories on them. But this whole series kind of goes along with that feeling I had. It was the reflection I had of the feelings during this time, instead of the feelings of, you know, that a lot of people were portraying at the time. Like, we'll get through this. Look, we're still happy photos on our front porch. And so this is really just a direct negation of that. So yeah, any questions I can answer on this?
Yeah, I was going to ask what kind of direction you gave people before you started, and did
That's a good
you
question.
have them? Did you see something and say stop?
Uh,
Do that more.
Well, yeah. So it was interesting because I mean, most of the time I was on the other side of a wall. And so what I ended up doing was I would have them set their phone on speakerphone and I would talk to them through speakerphone because they literally could. I mean, we couldn't hear each other otherwise.
Great idea.
And so, you know, we'd kind of go back and forth, or they'd open the window and I'd kind of yell at them or something, and then we'd close it again. But yeah, that's how I directed. You know, I gave kind of loose directions. It wasn't stand exactly here, look exactly there. It was, hey, I want you to watch TV. I want, you know, sit on this square, watch TV. And then I want you just to kind of look through that window, or, you know, just feel this, or show me how you feel. Show me how you are together. Show me a happy thought. Show me an excited thought. Show me a sad thought. More like that. That's tend to how I direct anyway. Is I try not to pose. I ask people to display an emotion, because I think you get more, instead of getting the same person doing the same pose, you get more organic poses out of it, where it shows their own personality, how they would respond, instead of trying to be mechanical with the posing. So I often ask people to display an emotion. So
I think I think you successfully got that across. I mean, the emotion that I get out of all of them is, when is this going to be over?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and the irony is we shot these in April and May, and the question still lingers, when is this going to be over, right? We thought we were going to be, done at the time. I stopped shooting them because after lockdown ended, I was shooting right up into that time, and it just didn't feel like they had the same power after that. But now I kind of wish I had, but it just, something about it just kind of stole the Zydegus from me.
Well, they are all, kind of dark, which, indoor kind of
Yeah.
softened light. My technical question was, for those of us that aren't so advanced, what the heck is a CTO and what the heck is a CTB gel?
Yeah, that's really technical. So CT, anytime you see CT in gel, that's color temperature. So a CTO is color temperature orange.
Okay.
CTB is color temperature blue. And then a half or a quarter, an eighth in front of that is the intensity of it. So a half CTO is kind of orange. It's half orange. Full CTO would be a direct convert from daylight to tungsten. A half CTO only gets you half the way there. So I think my white balance ended up being about 4,000 on these. So slightly cooler than daylight. And they were usually shot afternoon, evening, kind of 6 to 9 p.m. I would try to do a couple a day because I had nothing else to do. So,
Josh,
yeah.
how many did you show in or turn into the Round Rock Downtown Gallery, and why do you think they chose the one they did? Is that the only one they chose?
Yeah, well, so two-part question.
Know that again?
There's two parts to it. For the print one that's currently in the Downtowner, they had such an overwhelming response. They asked for 3 submissions, but they had so many submissions that they only took 1 per artist. And so that was limiting. But this series ran, the Round Rock Arts and Culture social media ran this entire series, and we took over their social media for a day. So that was part of it as well. And then as far as printing, these were all printed out. I printed one for myself, and then for each person that was in it, I made a print for them as well. And these were printed on the Epson Velvet Fine Art or Cold Press Natural. Ugh. I think Cold Press Natural is actually what I did with them, because I was shooting through a lot of window screens. They all had kind of it's hard to see, but they have kind of a mesh in front of them. And so I wanted people to feel that. So I printed on a really textured paper so that it felt like that as well. And it kind of desaturated versus like, metallic luster or a slick rock metallic. I didn't want it to be ultra real. I want it to feel more painterly. So I went with a more textured paper, which was a good switch for me. I don't often print on that type, although lately I have been. So I don't know. Who else has questions on that? Sorry, I see chat maybe.
Hey, Josh, just a quick thing. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
These kind of images that you presented, are these in the socio-photographic category, or what is the category? How can you categorize these?
What's the category for a photo like this?
Right. It's a photojournalism.
It's not photojournalism.
No. I categorize socio-photography, but what is your feeling about it?
I don't know. I don't really deal well with labels. To me, they're just art. They're not portraits.
No.
They're not. It's not photojournalism. It's just
that was the reason I asked.
Lifestyle art. I don't know.
Like socio photography.
Yeah. Colton.
And then the good news is these are not your images didn't show any direction by yourself. So that is a good thing. It's natural looking. So the images what you photographed, I didn't see you directed anything. So that is like you would be there in your mind, and then you select, and then just from your belt you snapshot the camera. So,
yeah, it was interesting shooting these because I would give them loose blocking, like be here and here, like, hey, sit in these, like this one here. with a couple pouring wine. I was like, hey, just pour wine and then just do what you do. And so I would just hold the camera up for a while, and it just kind of went like where it started. You know, where they were kind of, they would see me and try to pose. I'm like, don't look at me. You can look anywhere but me. And then after a while, they just never knew when I was shooting. I mean, they'd see the flashes going off, but they just kind of started inhabiting it instead of posing. At some point, they stopped posing and they just were. Yeah, because I would wait outside for like 5 or 10 minutes until I got what I wanted. I would just wait for them to start being real and stop being posy.
Just ignoring you.
Yeah.
How many frames did you end up shooting, Josh?
I can tell you
that secret.
No, I'll show you exactly how many. No, I'm pulling up my Lightroom because they're all in a collection. So 13 selects. We did. Hold on, my Lightroom's loading. One sec, I'll tell you.
I don't think exactitude was
1,469.
Whoa.
Which
raw images.
Yeah. I mean, this was over 6 months. I mean, 6 weeks. That's not much for me. But it hews to it's pretty close to my ratio, which is I like one photo that I take per 100. Like that's a pretty normal ratio for me. So like if I do a family session,
1 in 24.
Well, it took me 4 rolls to get. I don't know. I'm not as good as you. I'm 4 times as not good. But yeah, for me, one per 100 is kind of a good, where everything works, right? Where the light fired, the focus is right, the framing is right, the couple's right. Like there's a lot that goes into that. So yeah, for me, one per 100 that I like. And then
is there post-processing on each image or?
Oh yeah.
Okay. To try to match the color blue and.
Yeah. So I created a preset. So I shot with the same light gel. So I used 2 external flashes on all of these. So there's a Godox 600 and a Godox 400, and just with the standard 7-inch reflectors, one had a kind of blue gel and one had a kind of orange gel. And then I just shot into their rooms. And so I did that because a lot of times, like you can see these lamps, I was trying to pull in. So I shifted my white balance kind of tungsten. I don't know. I can tell you exactly what I was at. Hold on. I'll tell you exactly what I was, but I was something like, 3,800 maybe. Let me see. I can tell you exactly. 3,900. Yeah. 3,950 minus 8. So
all of the light bulbs look like they're white daylight. Is that something with masking or just the way I know you can take the magic wand and put it on an object and then match the white.
I mean, those the light bulbs are pretty orangey. I mean,
That's
not that one. She didn't have them on, but like, oh, that's my flash in the back. But no, there's none on there. There's not really none on there. But like there, so basically, I expose for this.
Okay.
And then my flash is doing the rest.
Ah.
Yeah.
You see,
I know that's pretty technical and kind of a trial and error. I'm not good enough to do it.
Clay, you can see the light of the right side.
Mm-hmm.
That is a special light for her.
Yeah.
That is a 6,500 Kelvin light.
Yeah.
And then the other one is about the 5,000 or less.
Yeah.
And the other lights were around 3,000.
Right.
Then the blue gel minus it came out about a 5,000 Kelvin.
Yeah.
That was the reason you saw it a little bit orange.
Yeah. So there's color contrast, right? So one of my lights is, it was probably about, one light was probably 6,000. One's probably 3,500 somewhere ballpark. Yeah. I don't know exactly, but about that range. And so you get that orange blue contrast to separate them. And then with my white balance, I shifted into the blues as well, just to kind of give it that surreal feel. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, processing was actually pretty easy because I created a preset. I did the first one and created a preset and then just applied it to all of them. But there was a lot of correcting lines. I was shooting really wide and I could only be at certain windows. So sometimes my angles were really skewed depending on which way I was pointing. So I had to do a lot of geometric transforms to make, I hate skewed lines. And so if you notice, this line is nice and straight in the center, right? They're all right. This took a long time to get right. This one in particular took a long time to get all of those lines correct. Right, that line correct, that line correct. All those verticals are very vertical, because then the forms, I wanted the human forms to be my curves, and the building to be all of my straights.
And did you write it in your workbook, your notebook, in your creative process? I know you shared that with us. You sketched it out ahead of time for the first ones, maybe, and then did it evolve as you did more shoots?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly sketched them, kind of rough sketching. If anybody's seen my sketches, they're terrible. But yeah, it helps me to kind of block them out. Really, it was to kind of help me figure out how I was going to light them, because I really wasn't sure how I was going to light it. The first time I went out was Christine, was this one, and that one took me a while to figure out kind of how I was going to do it. But then after that one, I only did one that day, and it took me like 3 hours. And then everything else, I was doing them 2 or 3 a day in like 45 minutes. So, but that first one, yeah, it didn't go very fast, because figuring out, like, I don't know, what's it going to be like shooting through a screened window? I hadn't really done that before. I don't know.
So the board look of the the board look of the subjects is because it took you forever to get the lighting right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just that unentertaining, right? They're just like, Josh, will you finish?
I think they're
And
really
I'm married, so I'm
successful.
used to that look. So
I think it really succeeds, Josh. It's a wonderful narrative. I think it's
yeah. This was the high point of my year. Like, this creatively, this was the best thing I've done all year. Yeah, for sure. Any other questions, technically or artistically?
Did you pre-shoot or pre-check these locations to have time to plan your lights, or you just walked in there with 2 lights and a concept?
Yep. Well, and that was tricky, because there were some rooms and some places where fitting lights in there's a couple where, maybe it was only like an upper skylight, right? Just a little slit of light. Yeah. So there was a couple rooms that were very, very challenging. Yeah, very challenging. But you just, with enough light power, you just fill a room with light and it'll bounce around and it'll work eventually.
Big hammer approach.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it was fun. And it was fun printing these out for all of the people that participated. It really created it was nice to be able to kind of give that back. So that's something I suggest. If you have a printer and you're doing something like this, these were all volunteers. I put out calls on my social media. Hey, who wants to do it? And I was trying to pick people that did different things. And so, they were volunteering their time. And so going back and giving them all prints was really nice. So I went through a lot of ink too, because I made 26 13 by 19 prints. Yeah, on velvet. I think it was, Epson cold pressed natural is what I used, and that soaks up a lot of ink. Yeah, I went through like a whole round of ink, so they got a little pricey, but it was good. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else have a question?
Let's go.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, I'll stop sharing then, if I can find the stop sharing.
Should be our next.
Yeah.
Our next presenter will be Laszlo.
Okay. I will go to the screen share. Desktop. Come on. Desktop. Okay, I'm in a desktop. Let me minimize these things. Here we go, getting there. Come on. Doesn't want to get the bridge. We're getting there, so. Here we go. We got this one. Okay. Here we go. Oops. So this series of images, probably I changed back to black and white, but this is in the color era when I photographed about but still I photograph color, mostly when I teach photography. And then I try to implant this kind of imaginative vision to the macro photography area too. So this set, what I selected, the Wabi Sabi portfolio, that was published in the color portfolios. Oops. And then the Wabi Sabi is my visual experiment in translating the quintessential Japanese aesthetic to photographic art, showing the softness and beauty of our intimate and imperfect natural world. The series of images were taken with a soft focus lens on several trips in Brazos Bend State Park, Texas. The atmosphere of the early morning and the late afternoon light reflecting on the dried or damaged plants are metaphors. The forms, colors, and shapes create an imaginative series of photographs with the perception of recognizing the beauty of imperfection. Interestingly, when we visited one day the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee, I was wondering why several large trees lost their leaves in mid-July. So I picked up a fallen leaf and looked at it closer and closer with a loupe, turning it the sky and the sun. And the light passing through from different angles showed the deadly disease attacking parts of the leaf, while at the same time displaying a mysterious resurrection and transformation to another dimension through its colors. So this work represents a new direction in percepting and photographing nature and challenges the viewer to feel the wabi-sabi or beauty of imperfection. So this can be a kind of artist statement or whatever part, which I would like to show you a small part. So don't expect the macro photographs, which I will show, the sharp textbook type images, because I don't see the world that way. I saw the world as metaphors. So I talk to those images. I made a storyboard. I create an imaginative series of images, and I look for those images. So when I find those similar form shapes, I stop down and then slow down and start to photograph. So this image was the chewed palmetto. The interesting, of course, all of these were a soft focus lens. I went to the camera cope and then I found a 105 micro Nikkor lens for $10. And then I just wondered, what's the heck is this for $10? And they said, well, this lens was underwater, so it's dead. Immediately I bought it, so I was happy. I want to take apart. I want to see how it looks like inside. It's $10 is a piece of cake. So when I took apart, I found out only the first lens element was damaged and all of the others are repairable. So I repaired and I replaced the first lens element to a large format lens element. And then when I designed and then discovered again this new lens, I found this kind of softness and then spherical distortion. So this was one lens which I used. The other lens, I used a XR heligon lens, which was a Rodenstock machine lens designed for X-ray photography. I bought it on eBay and then I was happy. I made a mount for the Nikon. Everything was perfect, fit together. And then, of course, no infinity point, but I started to photograph macro. That was an 0.9 f-stop. And then that was a 90 millimeter lens. So that is a amazing bokeh and amazing shallow depth of field. And then some other close-up diopters, broken, chipped scratched, take off from different camera parts or microscope parts or whatever. I built myself my lenses. So you can't achieve anything, any commercial lens like you see. I made these lenses. So this is the chewed. And then when I saw this image, I saw the left side, some kind of animal chewed. And then the others were the palmetto leaf. So I started to think about metaphors. I started to feel myself, my life. And then I was happy when I took a picture. This image is webbed angel. Again, it's another metaphor. When I saw this kind of leaf webbed, I started to feel something special, maybe a human body inside, or maybe our future, maybe our life. But all the time, when you see these kind of images, you can see some sparks, you can see some diffraction, you can see some kind of coloration and on the web. And then that give you some hope. So that is in my mind all the time when I photograph, a little bit depressing like, but the hope. That is the reason it's wabi-sabi. The beauty
Laszlo,
of perfection.
did you have a light source or a flash behind the image?
No, that was the sun reflected from other areas over there. No,
Okay.
it's no special light. All natural light. I didn't use any flash or any light source behind. I tried to position myself all the time where somewhere the natural light reflecting. So you can see this kind of light. I don't remember exactly what was the reflective surface, but I photographed many times, and even a leaf made a shiny surface. And then if you position something small, you will be able to get a similar effect like this. This image is called Torn Softy. Again, the yin yang, not just in a color. This was in our backyard, and then when I looked around, in my mind was the same concept. So I wanted to see the beauty of imperfection. So that was torn and soft. So that is the yin yang. And then the color, the purple and the blue. So the purple was the bougainvillea petals, and the blue, that was another reflective area from the sky. So that was very interesting to see. And if you are in close range and the magnification is at least a half-life size or something like this, you will lose detail in the background. And of course, when you use an f-stop like 0.9 or f-stop at f2, the max, which most of the time I use, on that macro lens was 2.8. But I have no idea what was the real f-stop with my extra lens element on it. But I really don't care. So I don't care to stop down. I want to get this soft, but some sharp areas exist, but very, very shallow. This one was just simple, called yellow-green. This was a flower. I went inside the flower. So these are the petals. And one petal was from outside, and the other, the greenish part, was inside. So when I went close and then pushed myself into the flower in a few inches, maybe an inch distance, the whole thing, I started to feel the different world. Again, the imperfection. For me, that was imperfection, is not petal, and then that was just the brownish coloration. Who knows, maybe the flower was a little bit older and then worn and will die. So that was, but again, the highlight, that was my hope. This image is the rolled leaves. These are very old, dry leaves, but kind of soft, touchy leaves, but they rolled. And then when I saw this, how can I say, the plant, I was just really amazed. I didn't see at that time this beautiful pinky on the background, but the pinky color came out from some kind of autumn coloration of grass. It's a dried grass. And then I positioned this, and I remember this was on a 105 masked up macro lens, modified, and then full aperture. So I never stop anything. Everything is completely fully open. But I found these guys are dancing. This is a two couple. So I was amazed. I showed several others with me this image, they didn't get it. I was the only one who photographed. This is a similar thing. That was called dried dance. So I started to feel these are, or this is a dancer, and the skirt is moving, or the hands are moving. The whole thing was, for me, I felt this kind of softness, and the dynamic is a yin yang. This image was dried leaf love. The background, that light, that is the sunlight. That was real sunlight. And then I started to feel this is an old couple. So when I photographed as a metaphor, and then that kind of translucent color showed up, immediately I started to feel that is the love. So for me, that was the reason I called dried leaf love. I photographed this, and then I dedicated a whole exhibition for a person who was a volunteer at Brazos Van State Park. And then he suggested on that day, when I took a small group to photograph white flowers, this area, you can get passion flowers. So I went that area, and then we found some passion flowers. Everybody was happy with passion flowers, but I was more excited about this kind of whining, holding, grabbing situation. That was so funny because I called deadly grip, but this is not deadly grip. An old person, an old branch holding the new life. So that is again, the yin yang in the image. And then next day I got the sad news that person got a heart attack and died. So this image represents, he suggested to go this area. So that was a kind of personalization again for this, and that was the reason I put it and called it deadly grip. Even is different. this image was photographed through many other vegetation. So a little opening was only at the green. And then that was the reason I titled Lonely Green. I started to feel this only one alone in this other pinky or brownish branches, and then he is lonely. This image was stamens. I moved inside the plant. I lifted a little bit or turned down one of the petal, and then I moved inside to the stamens. And then the sun or a very strong diffused light in the sun or the sky showed this high key-like image. And intentionally, I focused just to the backside petal because I wanted to show some fine texture from that or the stamen, and then I wanted to show some fine texture from the petal. But that was the feeling for me, stamens. Well, everybody can say this is a rejected image, not for me, because I made this super soft. Even I put a soft, greased, slightly greased UV filter on the already soft focus lens. And then I wanted to show just a very, very fine pinky part of that plant. And then I just called hiding stamens. So this was my feeling, again, where I am. I'm an observer, or am I hiding as a hide and seek game? They want to see me or they don't want to see me. So this kind of dilemma was inside my really twisted mind, artistic mind. This image was, when I saw this, and then oh my goodness, this is an uncombed beauty. Like a lady just woke up, and then that was just, the hair was everywhere. So that was in my feeling when I saw. And then that was my metaphor. And the plant itself was beautiful, the flower was beautiful. And then inside part of the flower is a very, very strongly moving inside. And then I started to feel this is an uncombed beauty. This leaf was just a kind of feeling the attack. Again, the imperfection, because this plant has a disease. And then there is the yellow is the sunlight. And then if you're interested for the technique, the camera was on a tripod and all of these things. And then I picked up this leaf, and then I moved the leaf when I see the camera is in focus, and that was directly facing to the sun. So that is the reason that very strong translucency, that is the sun. However, the leaf was really attacked by the disease, and then the leaf, that is orangey, lost the whole structure, and then just only some kind of very fine veins holding the leaf. Interestingly, when I made a calendar this series, and then I gave it to one of my colleagues whose wife was a writer and photographer and of course a doctor, but she got a very serious disease. And then she wrote a book, Bug in the Jar, that is basically poems from her diseased life. So when I started to show this kind of images, this diseased life and the hope behind them, because this color and the translucency is changed that disease, you start to think again as a metaphor, don't worry, the other life will be better. So this is a similar imperfection, because this is a diseased leaf. And then again, the same technique against the sun. And same soft focus, you can see this very strong spherical distortions. Only the center part is sharp as is, but sharp enough for me. And then this one was the shotgun attack. I just said this way, but again, these are pieces which was diseased and lost, and nothing in it, just holes. So that was the sky behind, and then this lens. So this is my last image. Any question?
Very, I
Very
really
good.
enjoyed that very much. It's I think images like this have more power as a series because you get into the flow of what the artist is trying to accomplish. And for me, that makes it, personally, it makes it more enjoyable. Because like you said, you know, you take one image, it might look like, oh, he moved during that picture. That's not what he really intended to do. But when you look at the whole series like this, it's clear that it's all intentional and just adds to the emotional impact.
The Wabi Sabi is in a permanent exhibition in the Houston Medical Center, Betty Burgdorf Gallery, and several other images from there in several areas in the Methodist Hospital, outpatient center, and several areas. And then the show meant multiple times at the Acker Imaging Gallery, and then part we submitted different shows at Transco Tower Gallery.
What size framed prints are these in Houston?
The prints are in the 16 by 20. I intentionally, even these are digital, you can see the 11 by 14 format. And then because we just do these two formats, the 16 by 20 in the 11 by, 16 by 20 in the 22 by 28 mat board and frame. The other one is 11 by 14 images in the 16 by 20. These prints available. And then we don't do more. So when we go to art shows, I take these two sizes.
So it's not a square. It's not a.
No.
Here they look square.
No, these are 11 by 14. The size of the image what you saw here, that is 11 by 14. So, well, this is I put in a what is this? Your 5K or 4K format or resolution. And then this is, but all the size itself is 11 by 14, which is basically the 16 by 20. So that is the reason, because I'm shooting now 4 by 5 at 8 by 10 film. And then those, even the contact prints and the others, it's not this style. This is a different life. I'm shooting the black and whites in the same size. So that is the reason I want to match all of my images in this size. So I don't want to make larger. I remember a client came and then wanted to ask a large because a boardroom he wanted to decorate. And I convinced him 3 images is better than 1 large. And then he bought the 3 16 by 20 print, which is the 21 by 28 frame mat board.
Was this a one-time experimental project, or was did you do more like this?
This was basically the project as I published in a book. So that is, and then we have the pamphlets and all of these things. Because I'm mostly large format film now, about 10 years, but I'm teaching the photography. I try to implant the macro photographer lovers this style. And I show all of the techniques. That was last Sunday, a online macro class, 3 hour. And then I showed all of these things. How can you approach this kind of images? So that time when COVID was not exist, I had the 3-part classes. So the second part of the class, we went out together to shoot together. And physically, I showed the technique and setup, and then they learned. And I was happy when they were able to produce similar images like this.
So it's not just the 2 special lenses that you had.
Well, the one thing is, yeah, these are special, but you can achieve a softness if you grease the filter, or if you make circular concentrical circles like a Duto filter on it, or just put in the lens in your pocket and then some condense drops on it, and then all of these kind of crazy things, or just get a cheap UV filter and then pick up a pointed scissor or something and bust it in a corner. Immediately you will get a chip, and then put on it, you will get a special distortion on that. So
Secrets of the master.
If you start to, now you have a tool set. So, but this is not like, doesn't work like that way. No, I have something, let's try this way. Or I'm a Photoshop, okay, this is a color image. Let's take a look how it looks like black and white. For me, no. I see the image in black and white and shoot black and white film, or I would shoot black and white, transform black and white camera. So in that case, for me, a lot of things is no option. So if I want to photograph this way, I'm living in this kind of images. So even if I see a sharp image, I don't want to see it. Like in a Rolling Stones, they said painted black. I don't want to see any color, just black. So that kind of thing in my mind. So anyway, this is just for the macro, but I did several other portfolios, but I don't want to waste your time. Another time, I'm more than happy to show some other birds in fly, which is very interesting, blurry images. And then
Laszlo, were these all digital, or were some of these shot on film?
No, these are all digital.
Thank you.
These are all digital because I started to work on this project when we how can I say, we were slide film shooters. How can I say, 30 plus years of black and white photography after we shoot slide film. And then when we came to the US, I lost my darkroom, so I started to shoot only slide film and make slideshows, and then multi-projector slideshows and slide showmanship and these kind of things. And then when the digital started to spread, we were able to get a digital camera. And then, but before we photographed on film, and mostly birds and wildlife.
Awesome.
That was our.
Thank you, Laszlo. It really helps us to see inspiration anew. Thank you.
And then I understand, maybe would be appropriate, not Lexi would be the next, but because we're sharing the screen, and Lexi is the next, she is my wife. Do you want to get?
Yes, yes,
Can-
Lexi.
Okay.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, this is Lexi.
Okay, that's me. And as you know, we came from Hungary. We moved to the US in 1990. And I basically didn't do photography in my home country. Just when we were traveling, I did some snapshots and things like that. But we were very outdoor people and like nature. And we did hiking and bird bending and things like that. So we were out all the time. And my husband was taking the pictures and did photography very seriously, but I didn't. So when we came to the US, we started to travel a little bit. The first time when we moved to Houston, I got the culture shock and I wanted to leave. I said, I can't leave here, there's no way. But when we got our car and we started to travel a little bit, first just in Texas, and I realized how beautiful it is. And I started to enjoy it, and he started to enjoy the photography more and more. And I was sitting in the car and I got bored. Here he was, taking the pictures and taking his time with that. So I told him I need something so I can shoot something at least on my level and try to enjoy the outings. So I got a little very simple camera and I started to take pictures too. And based on his opinion, I was getting better and better. So I got a better camera, better lenses, and I started to take more seriously the photography. And so that's how I started, and I really enjoy it. And he's managing my photography, and he did this book from my close-up photography, which I want to show here, which is mostly the water drops either after rain or something, and I can read that one. Drops is the realization of the visions in my dreams mixed with the hidden messages of nature and reflect back through the dew and raindrops. I always look for those situations in our natural environment during which the light causes special effects, and I explore capturing the possibilities of showing those light effects differently. I like to be out in the fields during early morning when the dew still blankets the plants and the tiny drops become tiny lenses. If we look through the nature's lenses from specific angles, we can see the whole world upside down inside them. What a magical world. Similarly, I enjoy photographing just after the rain when the raindrops cover the vegetation. I feel and hear the flowers talk during those special moments, and I try to capture the words they show me. So these are some of these drops. This was one of my earliest ones. It's a baby blue eye drops called. It's just a little blue flower with the early morning dew still on it. And you can go to the next, this one. This one is a blue bonnet. I try to get the picture of the blue bonnet a little bit differently than we usually take pictures of the blue bonnets, because the early morning dew was still on the little flower. So I thought it's very interesting. This one is in our backyard. There is a succulent plant which is like the cactus. So inside in the little leaves, the after rain dew drop stayed there. And inside you can see our house is reflecting in the little drop. I played with this for a little while till I got this image and I like that. This one is my all-time favorite. This one is one of the first I did and is still on slide film. And we were in Colorado and it was after rain. And we thought, okay, that was it for today's photography because it's raining. But thank God the rain stopped and he found some flowers to take pictures of. So he's taking his time for hours this time. And I got bored and I started to look around the car and I found this grass and I saw very nice drops on the grass, but I didn't see what's inside. So I got my macro lens and I went closer and then I saw, oh, this is interesting. You can see little things inside. So I took the picture, we took it home and we started to go through the slides. And I almost threw this one away because on the slide, I saw that bright spot and I said, okay, that is a ruined slide. Something happened. It got a hole there. And then he looks at it, don't be crazy. That is the sun there. So that's how we found out, okay, that is the sun there. And you can see the sky and the ground upside down, and then you can see the grass pieces. So we saved this slide and we made a print from the slide. And this was one of the pictures they chose at the Methodist outpatient center for decoration in the patient's room. And I got a first place on that competition for the Methodist hospital with this image. And actually on art shows, I sold probably 7 of the prints of this image because everyone just loved it. When they always see something new when they look at the picture. So we saved this one.
And the funny part, if I can just say, because I was nearby, well, farther, but I looked her, where is she? I didn't see her. She was laying down in the wet grass and then next to a ditch. And then the reason that beautiful soft background occurred because that was a distance between the grass and that was a ditch. And then the other grasses was in the backside. So that was a nice area. And then many times happened. I looked for her. Where is she? She disappeared. She's somewhere laying down and looking for these beautiful things.
This is just called After Rain. This is a lotus leaf, a dried one. And after rain, the water just stayed on the leaf. And I like the color. And I like the shape of the water when I took the picture. It doesn't seem like water. It looks like some little pieces of plastic or something. Nice. Someone just put it there. It feels like that. But I love the color of it. And this was that one. This one is a little caterpillar. When we went for a photo workshop in the hill country to take pictures of the flowers, the white flowers in the springtime. And I was walking around and I saw this little caterpillar on the barbed wire. And then when I get my camera, I saw the little thing is not moving and is filled with water droplets. So I took the pictures. The early morning dew was on that little caterpillar. So I took a picture and I took several ones, but I liked this one the best. And after a few minutes when the sun came up really and it started to get warm, he started to move. So he was running on that barbed wire.
Right.
So there's no way to take picture after that because he was very fast. But I got this one and I like it. It looks like a little punk. This one was in our backyard. After rain again, it's just, I like the color and the shape of the water on that leaf. This one was a sunflower seeds inside, and there was a little drop there. This one also in our backyard, just a little tree and a big pine tree and a little drop on that one. This one also in Brazos Bend, when these flowers are blooming, and this was also after rain. And this one was exhibited at France on one competition. They chose this one to show. This one was one of my first one. Actually, this was the first one I did. Dewdrop lenses, also in an outing in the hill country here at the White Flower Chapel Hill area, White Flower workshop what he led, and everybody was looking for the blue bonnets and things like that. And I saw these, spider web. I saw the spider web between two blue bonnets, and I wanted to take picture of that one because that seemed very interesting. So I got this one, and it's really not sharp, and I wanted to take more of this, but because I was so close already to this spider web, when I wanted to get a little more close, the spider web moved and touched my lens and disappeared. So this is the only one I was able to take, and that's why we keep it, even it's not that sharp, but this part is nice and interesting, so we keep this one. And this is one of my favorites still. This one also in Brazos Bend, also a lotus leaf. And this is the water level, and the wind blow a little bit the lotus leaf. So this brown thing is the reflection of the underneath of on the leaf.
And the water is inside.
And the water is inside. It was also after rain, and the water is inside. This one is a spider web, and this is not the usual spider web what everybody takes, because most of the people take it, everything is sharp everywhere.
Flat,
but this one is, I like, it shows this spider web is actually moving, it's not just a still, like you glued it on something and you take a picture of that. So it's for me, it looks like a live thing. This one also on one of our his workshop, when we were waiting for the group get together, and I saw the sun is coming, so I lay down in the grass and wanted to take picture as the sun is coming.
The sun is there.
And so that's the behind, the sun is coming and the grass covered with this early morning dew. It's just the colors I really love on this one. This one is in the Smoky Mountains. There was a little area early morning. The whole field was filled with spider webs. And I got this one a little bit closer, but the whole field was everywhere, just these kind of spider webs.
That's it.
And that's it.
Very good. Very
Very
nice.
impressive.
Beautiful.
Those are beautiful.
Very nice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want some question? I'm sorry.
Just wanted to say there's just, I love the colors and the composition. It's just beautiful work.
Was this a special lens and was it one of the same lenses that you used, Laszlo?
I have a real macro lens, the 105, but I like to take macro with my 70-200 lens. And I like to take macro also with my 200-400 big lens. Accidentally, I figured out is no problem to take close up with these big lenses, and sometimes you can get much better result and background with the long lenses. So when we go for our trips, we like to travel and we like to visit national parks and things like that, and we like to hike. The only lens I usually take with me for hiking, either the 70-200, or if I feel strong enough, I take my big lens, so maybe I can catch a grizzly bear or something, but still I feel that's the only lens I need. If I see something that I would like to take picture as a close-up, I can do with the big lens also. So these all pictures, not just with the 105 close-up lens, but some of them I made with the long lens.
Do those bears have water on them, water spots on them?
Didn't hear you.
It's joking, but.
Oh, no.
Okay, we have one more presenter. Carol, are you ready?
I am. Let's see if I can get this figured out. There we go. Okay, so my presentation is a little different from the others because it's not a finished project by any means. It's very much a work in progress. So I'll do a little introduction to it. Some of you are familiar with this photo that I entered in a competition and is going to be one of the ones that Carol will talk about on Sunday. But if you're familiar at all with like what I've been doing for the last couple of years, it's been primarily abstract photos in nature. And although I do have I've been shooting for more than 20 years, and I do have history of shooting events and weddings and people, that is not anything that I've done recently or felt moved to do recently. But last fall, oh, and one more thing, up until the pandemic, my husband and I have been in the habit of taking generally 3 one-month-long driving vacation trips per year. And I do a lot of, that's where a lot of my work comes from. And so last fall, we had planned and did a trip that was actually a recreation of a trip that John did, where I had to fly up to New England and meet him. But we recreated his driving trip and then combined that. So we went up through the Ozarks and pretty much along the Missouri River up to the Delaware Water Gap, and then came down through the Smokies and Shenandoah and down. I had met through Facebook some older cousins in Georgia that are like in their 90s and came down to visit some of them and 5 old family graveyards, cemeteries And pretty much and I had not, so this is also kind of about how a project can just kind of like spring itself on you unprepared and then develop over time. The time that you're like doing in the midst of trying to do the project, it's changing as the days go on. So I realized the first day out that we were going through places in Missouri and Indiana where I had lived and vacationed as a child. My father was in the Army, and we lived and we're going to be visiting not exact towns or spots, but places very similar to that. And then that kind of combined with the fact that I was going to be visiting states and final resting places of my ancestors suddenly turned the trip into a very autobiographical project, and one also that had a lot to do with just kind of themes of aging and mortality, a certain amount of invisibility. So as the time sort of went through, what I developed with this project was a series. The primary pictures in the series are in pairs, and I started inserting myself in and then out of a sort of a landscape type of photo. And the title of the project, working title, I suppose, is Now You See Me, as in now you see me, now you don't. And so I'm not going to discuss each photo as I go through it, but I can put them all up, I guess, all up together on the screen at the end. And if you had particular questions about individual ones, and I might say something about ones, and I certainly can tell people where things were if you're interested. But anyway, here we go. And I'm going to do like brief and then longer, brief and then longer. You'll see, it's a rhythm. There's only 12 of them, so don't panic.
You have to do your screen full screen or the slideshow mode.
Can you see it?
It's getting cut off on the right side, and we're
Okay.
seeing the menu and all of the other.
Well, but I'm not sure I can help that. Can you see the image though?
Yeah, it's not getting cut off here.
Oh, pardon me.
No, it's okay. It's just, trust me. You know those videos that you see of people putting animals onto glass top tables and the animals are freaking out? That's kind of me figuring out how to share anything on Zoom earlier today. So if you can see it at all, we're doing well.
Carol?
So, yes?
I wonder, could you hit Control-0 and maybe?
Yeah, make them full size.
Well, they're in bridge.
Oh, okay.
So
that's fine.
If you are on bridge, just
yeah, the slide. I'm sorry, the slider at the bottom should control the size.
Yeah, the space bar or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, there you go.
Nope.
No. The space bar.
Huh?
Put the space bar. Press the space bar.
To make it
full screen.
Well, so that's full screen for me, but that's not any bigger than what it was.
Sorry.
And now I can't see my, okay, so then I couldn't see how I was managing it. Sorry, they're not very large, but if they're big enough.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all right. Well, someone will help me before the next time I do this, I'm sure. Okay, on we go.
Go.
What? that's the last one. So I guess that won't particularly work because they won't show them all up there. Okay, so if anybody had specific comments or questions about any of those or any of those that struck you, I can just bring them back up.
Well, this image has always struck me both times I've seen it now, with that sky reflected in the lake and just framing you so well. It's just really just an amazing shot. It almost looks like you're floating in the clouds.
But I believe Carol did it in pairs. So that was without person and with person. So
True.
Carol, do you plan to do this as a diptych?
There we go.
You mean to like print it as a diptych or?
Yeah.
So, well, what I was not thinking, because they're pretty much the 4x6 format, so I'm not sure that they would necessarily work on the same print, but that if they were exhibited, that they would be right next to each other.
And then did you think about if you make it, crop it down square, each image, and then you can put as a diptych?
A lot of them for me just don't work as squares.
Okay.
You know, I mean, because
Yeah,
these, you know, like a lot of this is like, these are like full frame.
Yeah.
You know, and some, you know, like that, you know, it's, you know, this, I know, I think I fooled with that as a square before, but
yeah, you are right. If you crop it, you will lose
yeah,
the power, whatever you would like to present. It's very nice.
thank you. So it was, for me, really, it was a very good exercise in both having to be spontaneous and be prepared or for, you know, whatever, because I didn't know each day what I was going to encounter, and I didn't know what would resonate in me as this, like this turned out to be, fortunately the doors were open. The church, old abandoned church that was right across, 3 of these cemeteries we had to find with GPS, and they've got like my great grandparents and numerous great aunts and uncles, and this is in Georgia and Mississippi. And this church had been the church, of course, attached to the cemetery, but ancestors of mine were, you know, married, Christian, baptized, you know, buried out of this church. And it was just, you know, so amazing and so powerful. Just being there, you know, and so I had to, you know, I had to like tote my tripod everywhere, and these these pool images were like totally, I had, you know, we were staying in a campground. I took the dog for a walk. There was the pool. The pool was all empty, and the lock on the gate wasn't locked. It had been left unlocked. So the next morning I'm up early, dashing up with my, in my swimsuit with my tripod. It's like a mile from the campground with like all my gear, trucking over there, you know, ducking every time a car goes by on the road, and, you know, hoping I'm not getting like busted by the park police or whatever. So yeah, so it was fun, but and then trying to put it together and think about sort of a coherent, meaningful, you know, type of message that would resonate with, you know, with anyone else has been a good exercise for me. So,
What's
and
the
still
original
is, you know,
image that
not,
started?
it's not done, you know, obviously. So I'm sorry.
What was the original image that started this concept?
Probably, probably these were really early in the trip. And so, you know, so some of the, you know, in the scene and out of the scene are not exact matches because that didn't come to me until about a week into the trip, or maybe a little longer of this month-long trip, that of setting it up and then being in the picture and not not being in the picture. But fortunately, you know, for some of them, you know, we had taken them, or I had taken them to get an idea of what the exposure and whatever needed to be. So, you know, so I kind of accidentally had it, or, you know, like with this one, I just kind of recreated, it's not exact, but I just kind of recreated it out of, you know, another picture I had taken. So the later ones, these ones were, you know, where I had come up with the concept of how I wanted to do that. So
The one of you on the pier is just a showstopper.
thank you. Yeah, that's really funny because, you know, I titled that Georgia on my mind, but I wasn't in Georgia. This is, I'm looking at Georgia, if that helps, but this is actually at a campground between Montgomery and Selma in Alabama. It's a Corps of Engineer campground, and there are alligators in there. But I had just been in Georgia, so I had visited with my cousins and a couple of the family cemeteries, and we were on our way, you know, across to Mississippi, and we spent 2 nights in this campground, and it was just really, it was really lovely. I do have a kind of a funny story over to the left. You know, everyone's out sitting outside their campers with their drinks, and there were a couple of older ladies like me out with their drinks, and I'm like dashing back and forth to the tripod and hitting the timer, and, you know, running back to the dock and posing very nonchalantly, you know, and then getting up and running back and looking at the back of the camera and setting it again, and, you know, dashing back and forth. And they just, you know, thought that was the funniest thing. And so did I, pretty much. I mean, I think I had about 12 to 14 different pictures before I decided which, you know, pose I liked the best. But it was fun to do. It was fun to do, and it's been, like I said, it's been good work for me. So
Do you and John work together, Carol, to think of photography projects, or does he work separately and you work separately?
He's actually not really been shooting very much. And so when Lexi was talking about how she would got bored and took up photography, and now, you know, clearly it's become a passion. I met John through a photo sharing website, and that's how we got together and got married. But we used to say, you know, oh, it's such a relief to travel with another photographer because they understand, you know, and whoever gets back to the truck first, you know, gets out a chair and a beer and sits and reads a book or whatever until the other person is done. Or if you're driving down the road and one of them says, oh, we have to stop, then the other person understands. But in recent years, he hasn't really been shooting as much, and not as obsessively as I do on trips, certainly. But fortunately for me, he's retained I know I have to sit here and entertain the dog while Carol goes off for an hour or more taking pictures in the campground of whatever she's taking pictures of. So, yeah.
So we have a surprise presenter, but before we leave, Carol, do you have other planned images that you're going to take with this series? Is this the complete series, or are you going to add to the project?
You know, I am not really sure because you know, it was it kind of it was what it was. I mean, it was places I'd been in my childhood, places where my ancestors were. Unless I go back to those places, I'm not, or in that area, I'm not really totally happy with like what all I have. I think I would like to have different things, to put in there and maybe, tighten up, the idea of the pairings.
Got it. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I would say.
Okay, Charles, you had something you wanted to present?
Sure. This was this is not anywhere near as deep as the rest of these, but this is kind of a quick, humorous story. It started out as just an exercise, and it just hung together. It was supposed to be just a collection of shots in different styles, and it turned into a story. And if I can get him to show it the right size. So of course, you may recognize this guy as the Redbird. And he started out here in just product photography. And then he tried to move into Penn's Corner here, and it didn't really work out for him, but he found the egg. And then he tried to move out into the natural world. And, it's just not really working for him. And he tried to move into a kind of a Japanese style, and it didn't work. And then he's looking for the egg again, and he can't find the egg. Oh, and there it is. And he's going after it, but he's an angry bird. So he got sent to jail.
It's a great story.
So it's not what you would call a serious exercise, but it's just a fun, quick story of stuff I did with what was lying around.
What did you learn from the project? Was it close-up photography or storytelling?
Yeah, well, it was originally the exercise was to pick a subject and shoot it in a variety of styles. And and I was trying to do that, and as it developed, I mean, the character of my subject started coming through, and so I turned it into a story. And when I turned it into my instructor, she was laughing through half of the presentation, so I figured it worked.
Was there a lighting setup involved?
Oh yeah, I mean, I had different lighting setups for each of those. I mean, if you want me to go back, I can show it back to you again. And come on. So I had different lighting setups for different things. I'll just put it in let's see here, if I can get it to go back into
light box.
Yeah. I hadn't turned the light on, but this was I didn't actually have a light box for any of this. I mean, this one here, I'm just using a sweep, with an overhead light, and and then whitened out the background, and then this one I turned it into black and white because it seemed to reflect Penn's Corner, better that way. And of course I didn't clear out the junk because that's kind of how Penn did it. He had a dirty floor and you could see the seams in the flats, so that was kind of how I kept it. And then, and of course, if you remember the computer game that you played on your phone, there was this egg. So I quick boiled some eggs, and started putting them in the photos. And I don't know if you can probably see that that this egg got kind of damaged in the shooting there, but it helps it stay in the tree. And this one was just, had a fill flash, but for front lighting to fill it in, but it was evening light otherwise. And this is and this has a strong evening light to it. And yeah, he can't. He just doesn't fit in these little bird boxes. And and then I started shooting. This one's pretty straightforward. Although I started putting gels. I put a gel on there to kind of warm it up a little bit. Put an orange gel in there, and then this one, I'm trying to do a little forced perspective here, where I've got him. I've got the focus on this little model here, and just using him as a silhouette. And like here, where he's in focus, and I've got the lighting. I've got the lighting off to the, way off to the right here. So it's side lit, and it's very dimly lit to give this kind of evening sort of look to it. And then, he's found the stage that's got his egg, and he's in focus, and then the stage is in focus. And then it's amazing things you can do with a cooling rack. And again, we're lit way off to the side to give it this kind of dim, cell block sort of lighting idea. So anyway.
Thank you, Charles.
Oh, that was that game.
Fun.
And that was, of course, was the intent. It was supposed to be just fun and not deep.
It wasn't.
Oh,
Well,
you've zinged me. I'm zinging you back.
It's okay, Clay.
You told a great story.
So we had fun. This guy actually was on the markdown shelf. A number of years ago, and he was a desk toy for years at work, and then somebody. I was kind of reaching the end of my service life in Dell Tech Support, and somebody, I don't know if this will even show, probably not with that background in there, but somebody gave me this little, let's see if I can turn off the background. Yeah, somebody gave me this little printed this little cartoon out for me. So yeah, it was ready for me. It was time for me to retire. Anyway, so I decided to have fun with him since he was part of my life for a few years.
What type of class? What type of class are you in, Charles?
This was actually a design class, a photography design class over at Austin Community College. They called this one Visual Workflow Design, and I had no idea what it was really about until I got into it. But it's been a great class, and teaching me a bunch of different techniques, and that I'm trying to put into my photography, and just do better.
That's over at the Northridge campus.
Well, funny you should say that.
Yeah.
It's not at any campus right now. ACC has not, or at least the photography department has not taught any physical classes since March of this year, and it's all been done. It's all been done virtually. It's all of this has been done like this over Zoom. So our class meetings are very much like this, and we get to come share our thoughts and explore the depths of the. There's a text that we brought for it, and it's a tough read, but it's packed with good information. So I've enjoyed it. It's been a hell of a class.
Who's teaching it?
This is Maya Buck, if you know who that is.
Yeah, no, I know some of the instructors over there, but
yeah.
She's the book author. The book author is.
Oh, the book author. The book author is actually Donis, and she actually wrote this back in the 70s. So actually, one of the interesting things in discussion, I mean, most of it hasn't changed, but some of the interesting things that we discuss here is, is how these principles, are applying to new technology, and it's some good stuff.
Cool.
I can, if anybody wants it, if anybody wants the title, I mean, the title, I can foist it
Yeah.
off on you, but
We can't read the title. At least I couldn't read the title the way you held it up. It looks
well,
backwards almost. But
well, yeah,
Type it into the chat.
yeah, I'll put it in there. This is so oh, and I should actually share that with everybody instead of sending it off to Alan.
yeah, you could just read it.
I'll put it in the chat so people can actually see it.
Cool.
Anyway, but yeah, that's true. But as I think Berlin over there said, yeah, no, I don't have any pigs. I had no pigs. But I pulled the stage, but I had fun with the stage, and like I said, I was trying to figure out how to do a jail, because Angry Bird has got to get into trouble all the time with all that stuff, all that damage, that they were doing, so it's amazing what you can do with with some kitchen stuff. So sorry, Laszlo, not nearly as deep as what you presented, but
Yeah. Good job.
You did a good job, Laszlo. But anyway, I'll do what I can do.
The other thing is, which I used to work with friends who has a good hand to write poems or stories or something like this. This happened with Dion McInnes. Dion McInnes was a photographer and a writer, and then he saw my images, and then, Laszlo, give it to me few. So I gave it to him 50 or something like this, kind of images from this kind of series. And then he started to write something and forgot the whole thing. And then I started to say, okay, let's revitalize this situation. So I sent him more images and the new images. He saw the images, he started to be excited, and then started to write more. And we published a book. And then it's about 100 images, then it's 100 poems. So Dion McInnes and myself. So that is called Visual and Literacy Metaphors. So that is just an interesting thing. How can we use our images? So what can we do with those? That is a tons of image. Of course, a tons of images deleted, but a lot of images you want to keep, but what for? So now you ask, what are you doing with your color images? I'm using for the teaching. I'm using for presenting those things, or making my greetings and all of these things for my friends, and then they will receive a new greeting cards every occasion. That is not black and white, because I'm shooting black and white, but that's a different story.
Well, you touched on.
I'm sorry.
Well, you touch on a controversy there, to delete or not to delete.
Yeah.
I've been working in the school. I mean, at the beginning, before I started going to school, going to classes, I mean, I was like, it's useless, I'll delete it. And then I started learning more about how to work with digital. And, so many times I'm like, dang, I should have saved that, so I don't delete anything, hard drives are cheap, and so I have a massive amount of images, and not all of them terribly organized, but, as I get deeper into the craft, I come across new ideas how to use old images that were, they didn't work before, but as I learn, how to use new tools, they come back to haunt me. And become useful. So
Well, in our situation, it's a little bit different. And when I was shooting digital, I'm not really shooting now, but I'm just applying the same thing with Lexi. So we come home at evening from the whole day shooting, and then download the files. We look up about 1 second or 2 seconds per slide or per image, and then put it in 3 categories: delete, maybe, and then keep it for sure. And then after that, very quick screen again. All of the delete is deleted, and for the maybe, half of the maybe will go to the delete, and then we will end up some images which is really good, that is in a special folder, and then it's 3 copy of that for sure. And then so others maybe, but the maybe, we never really picked up images which we would enter for an international contest or put somewhere, whatever would be really useful. But this is just us. Our life is different, so how can I say? So the nature photography is a different story. And then many people don't like black and white. In my life, it starts when I develop the film. So I will check the reference shots. Okay, that's maybe, I hope, let's finger crossed. And then when I developed the large films, and then I put in a light box and then started to study in a stereo microscope, I started to feel, that's maybe, okay, maybe. But this is a different life, but a lot of happiness for me.
Are you eat film at home now?
Yes. Yeah, I have darkroom, everything we set up here in our house. I'm super happy.
Oh.
Well, many times I have to redo because that is the wet lab part is in the bathroom, but I did it very easily transformable. So about half an hour is ready for the wet lab part. The other part, the dry part is built in.
Laszlo, this is Alan. I think we should talk. I have plans for some film projects for the club in the coming year, and I think we could probably come up with some really good ideas for that.
Yeah, definitely. I can help. What was your first part of the sentence? I didn't hear. You called from the phone. What is the? Would you please just repeat the first part of yours?
The first part was I have, for next year, I am planning on doing some film projects.
Oh, film projects. Okay, yeah, definitely.
Some film outings for the club.
Yeah.
And I think we can work synergistically here.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to do whatever I can, but unfortunately, the workshops and all of these things, when I keep close contact with people, I'm not doing. But I'm really isolated myself, and then when we are out, we are just 2 together, and then I'm doing only this kind of Zoom meetings. But I can show a lot of things with film, of course, how the large format camera works and all of these things, and how can we load the films and develop the films, and we can figure out a lot of things, and I can talk all of my experiences, and then whatever. Yeah, definitely, more than happy. For the Houston Center of Photography, I have about 10 classes now for the next quarter.
Wow.
Schedule. The classes part the 3-hour classes, and 1 3-hour part is like macro. So we talk about everything with macro, and then how can we do this kind of sharp images? How can we mess it up? And how can we do this kind of dreamy images? And then I send them with a homework, and then they come back for 1 week or 2 weeks later and then we will make an image discussion. So that is the 3-part was before when I was able to go with these guys.
How expensive are these classes?
It's not too expensive. These are online classes. I believe HCP members maybe are $50 a piece.
Oh,
or something
not a problem.
like, because it's discount. So the member discount is there. But please check it out. Maybe I'm wrong. If you go to the Houston Center for Photography and the Education, and then go to the workshops and look at it, you will see the workshops.
Now it's cheaper because it's
online.
online. When it was in person.
Because we had to go to the classroom there, a person had to be there, and then the lights and the room and the whatever. So that kind of things now.
I was trying to figure out whether it was less than $100, more than $200.
Oh, less than $100 for sure. For these workshops, but please double check. I don't want to.
Oh, I will check.
Yeah, please check it. This Sunday we will have a bird photography workshop online. Can you imagine 3-hour bird photography? That is that is very interesting. But the same thing was with the macro. My camera was connected to a monitor. Everybody was able to see whatever the camera sees. My cell phone was connected to the monitor. The other, whatever small, what is the name of that? iPad was connected to the monitor. And then I was able to show everything directly live. And then I made a setup. And then that was a nice Lycan and all of these things and moss, and everybody was happy. And then all of the gear was there, so I was able to show the table filled with things. So everybody was happy. I didn't do PowerPoint presentation because that is not live. This is the live what we're doing right now.
Yes.
So you see when we see each other, when we're talking to each other, and when he showed the book, and then all of these things, that is the live. So we can put something extra like this if we do it live.
Yeah,
and I'm doing live, so I will show that this is the telephoto lens, and this is the tripod, this is the head. They can see what is the gimbal head, why is important the gimbal, how can we balance it, so they can show a lot of things, and of course a lot of slides, and then talk about how did we do and why did we do that way.
Yeah, and it looks like different people have kind of taken different approaches. One of the things that ACC did was they had some studio, based classes, and of course, they can't let you into the studio. So what they did was they built up like kits, with lights and stands and equipment. And they would, at the beginning of the semester, they would check you the kit out, and you would go find some place to set up your own studio, in your back room, in your bathroom, wherever it was, and do your work. And then at the end of the semester, you turn the equipment back in.
But
don't break it.
For the macro, for the staging, we did with special small lights. Mm-hmm. So that is you don't need the flash and all of it. Yeah, we used flash before, but you don't need a small light like a flashlight, but some LED light. You can change the color temperature, the intensity. Sure. Fantastic lights available. So
sure. And my little studio setup, I was using like a 100-watt equivalent fluorescent bulb.
Yeah.
To light on my sweep to light it up. And I had a speed light for things that needed a flash, and built from there. But there's a lot of stuff you could do with for just a few bucks.
But the other good thing is, if you have a 2-part class like this, we can talk, suggest good idea, everybody's happy, and then they will try and then come back to you. And then I get several emails and I reply, and then we discuss through email. And then next Sunday we will see each other again, and then we will make a conclusion. So that is
sounds great.
That is the, how can I say, the technique, or I don't know what can we do.
You
Concept.
do what you can.
That's right. Anyway, that's it, guys. Just thank you very much for we have the other book is my large format black and white, so I can show some new project which I just lately I showed to the Pixel Silver group, but that is I'm more than happy to share that one. One is the Combed series, that is a lot of abstraction with grass and then all of this kind of thing. These are large format film. And then the other is the how can I say, the Fallen. The Fallen, these are pine tree trunks, which was fallen, not just because the fire, because the disease and all of these kind of things, but all metaphors can be. The fallen can represent our fallen soldiers and whatever you can imagine. It's very interesting on large format, super sharp, beautiful, textured and detailed. But that's another story. I'm living in portfolios. Our life is photography. So our kids grow up, and then my wife loves photography. I love photography. So we're living in the photography.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks to all of our presenters tonight. This was a last-minute thing. Our scheduled speaker had to cancel for private reasons. So thanks. And unless anybody else has any other questions, I'm going to sign off.
Okay. See you guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Stay
Thanks
safe.
very much.
Bye.
Stay safe all. Bye.
Good night.
Good night. Oh, by the way, I just saw Bastrop State Park. Bastrop State Park started to use the new, how can I say, the old golf cart. Started to put some, how can I say, natural,
Native grasses.
native grasses and wildflowers. So I can imagine that area at springtime filled with wildflowers. I will let you know how it looks like, because
Sounds like a place to go.
5 minutes from us.
It sounds like a field trip.
Yes,
Sure
that's
was.
right. That's right.
They're restricting numbers. When we camped at Bisher, we had tried to check it out the previous weekend and couldn't even get in. They weren't even letting you drive.
Yeah, in the weekends it's very hard to get in.
Carol,
What he used to do in the beginning of the month, he signed up for several days of the week so we can enter to the park.
For 30 days ahead, you can make reservation.
Okay.
So
you live near there?
yeah,
We
5
are
minutes.
5 minutes from here.
We are living here in a pine forest.
We living in Bastrop.
Bastrop,
You're in Bastrop.
Oh,
Okay.
Tahitian
Yeah.
village, yes,
Yeah.
in a pine forest.
And we used to go there all summer. We went to the pool, but we had to sign up for it because they don't let too many people in the park. But you can sign up a month ahead. So we have entrance for Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. We go hiking these 3 days. And I know on the weekends, it's always full.
But if you make reservations ahead, that is a possibility. And then if you have the Texas State Park pass, that is free. That is $80 the pass, but if you two want to enter, that is $10 per entrance. So very easily.
that and the National Park Pass are well worth it.
Yeah, but this is the
Texas and the National is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
I think that I saw where the national parks are now going to be free for veterans, the national park passes.
Ooh.
Well, that sounds
Already have them.
And
I know, we do too. So
and for elderly people, the national park pass is free. So that is after 65, you can get the pass for a life, and then you can get 50% off from the camping sites too.
Yep.
On the
Evelyn's
same
retired
price.
Air Force, so we qualify doubly.
Yeah, that is very good. Very good. So anyway, these kind of things. If you have any questions, if you would like to know something, you can drop me an email.
Great. It's very nice to meet you both.
See you guys.
A
Thank you.
beautiful website,
Both.
Laszlo. Thank you.
Yeah,
Clay,
and then
thank you for making this happen. Ed,
then-
I'm sure
and
you
then-
contributed immensely.
check our website blog. You will see a lot of
Yeah.
information what's
Okay.
going on around us. See you. Bye.
See some of
Bye-bye.
y'all this weekend.
Yep.
Yep.
Stay safe. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.